genome, understanding the pandemic and how we can move forward. There's no denying that the pandemic is changing the way we live, and almost everyone is affected. But instead of being paralyzed by the pandemic, we invite you today to dive deeper and to understand the science behind the pandemic. The culprit is the virus. Yeah, let's put our attention on the virus and understand how it works lah. Yeah, we hope we can learn together and we can move forward instead of being in the state of what we call pandemic paralysis. Therefore, the conversation today, BERSUSEY is actually conversations, yeah, in the local Malay word. We have our own Dr. Zamberi Sekawi, Orang Kuching tu ya. He's the professor of medical microbiology and senior consultant clinical microbiologist and the dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at Universiti Putra, Malaysia, UPM. For me, I'd rather take a chance with Professor than listen to, say, a Nobel Prize winner virologist. Yeah, you heard his name, Locke Montier, for example. Nama aja Prancis, so banyak orang percaya. Or somebody named Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is actually a distant cousin of the Kennedys. Yeah. Or the conspiracy theories that the virus was man-made lah, yang dari Wuhan lah, Jewish lah, WHO conspiracy, big pharma machine, profit machine, and all those things. Yeah. To me, I rather put my trust on our own world-renowned Dr. Zamberi. Yeah, he co-authored a paper, coronavirus and COVID-19, a note to non-virology specialists. So I consider myself as a non-virology specialist. So go look up that paper that he wrote. Yeah, it has the answer to 10 most common question and misconception about the virus. He talk about, ada apa bio warfare lah, all this Chinese. So that's 10 questions. And when I read that, and I said, hey, I must get Professor to talk to all of us and share what is the truth about the virus. And if you also recall, the Professor has been involved in this SARS, the Nipah virus, and all those things for a few years already. Okay, so no worries. We look forward to hear from him. To moderate the session, we will have none other than our own Dr. Salihin Abang, who is the president of JARINGAN Diaspora Sarawak, also Orang Kampung Lintang Kuching. He's the founder and managing partner of Salihin Group, the largest Putra accounting firm in Malaysia. He has over 20 years experience in audit, assurances, accounting, taxation, and business advisory. He also sits on the board of Bosted Heavy Industry, Director Bosted Plantation, GE Global, and also Bintulu Port. So the agenda today, I will hand over to Dr. Salihin, who will do two parts, the introductory to JARINGAN Diaspora, and also the presentation by Dr. Zamberi. He will also lead two sessions of Q&A, one between him and the professor, and the second Q&A will be open to all participants. So write your question in the chat box, or when we open it to the floor later on, raise your hand. In Zoom, you can click the raise your hand. Yeah, and then we will, my co-host will allow you to come in. So without further delay, I have the pleasure to hand over the session to our moderator, Dr. Salihin Abang. It's all yours, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Abang Iskandar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. Salam sejahtera to all. I noticed from the participant we have, as Abang Iskandar mentioned just now, our CEO BHIC checked in, and we have also our board member here, board member BHIC, Puan Hajah Nafisah also joining us, our staff at Salihin, students, and also our committee members and general public. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. As Abang Iskandar mentioned just now, I think the misconception and also quite a misleading thing also actually berlingkar di luar sana. Okay, I think this is our series BERSUSEY. As Abang Iskandar mentioned, that BERSUSEY is a conversation in Sarawak. This is our number 4. BERSUSEY, sarung saya. Okay, by Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak. A little bit about me before we go to Professor Dr. Zamberi, about his topic today. So I'm going to run this session in 3 languages. So in Bahasa Malaysia, in Bahasa Inggeris if you wish to speak in English, and also in Bahasa Sarawak. If you want to berjakut Iban also, you can also. I think Moses can help me to actually translate jakut Iban. Moses, I think some of our members also, AJK members also. Siapa? Because I think today is Saturday. I think we have been locked for more than 1 year, about 1.5 years already. So kita santai-santai, jak pagi tu, tubuh kambuh hilang. So I think what we are doing at the Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak, it is our tagline is connecting Sarawakian for a greater future. So this is what we're doing. So our vision is always to be the dynamic organization that connects and positively impacts Sarawakian globally through semangat Sarawak. Orang Sarawak tak punya jumpa ada satu semangat. So it's like when you go to London and you see the Sarawakian, they can actually kopi, makan laksa and all these things Dasar Sarawak, that all connect Sarawakian through the Sarawak, semangat Sarawak. It always like that. Because I think our model of Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak is always, I mentioned, like Diaspora Indonesia, we model after that. Because through our social media, we are reaching we're reaching Sarawakian all over the world, about 56 countries. So kami orang Sarawak tu yang berteter di seluruh dunia tu, okay? So because of their married, they're going out for job dan sebagainya. So we want to connect all this through our semangat Sarawak, then we can actually contribute back to our state and also to the country, to the Malaysia as a whole. So among other activities we are doing, so we have our social gathering, we have this series BERSUSEY, which we invite prominent Sarawakian and also prominent speakers to talk and converse with the topic of interest. And today we are very lucky and fortunate to have with us also a very successful and very prominent Sarawakian, Professor Dr. Zamberi Sekawi, which kami nanya-nya datang dari sini kampung perumahan Kampung Tungku, kampung perumahan baru nak. Okay. So before I start this introduction, let me introduce also my committee member attended this meeting at this BERSUSEY today, Abang Iskandar, our deputy president. Then we have our Abang Azahari also here, and then our treasurer Jamin, and we have our committee member Awang Alfian, Saudara Moses, Rosie is not here, Abang Osman, Wan Sri is not here, Azam. Okay, so this is our committee members of Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak. Okay, then I will actually conduct this session. I'm going to divide it into 3 parts. First part is actually a briefing by our professor. Secondly, I think my conversation with professor, and then I think I will open for the Q&A session. Just now, Abang Iskandar has made a brief introduction about our professor, Professor Dr. Zamberi is currently the Dean and the Professor of Medical Microbiology and Senior Consultant Clinical Microbiologist at UPM. Including his previous appointment, Deputy Dean for Academic and Deputy Dean for Research and Head of Department. He was the technical officer for the WHO organization based in PG. This one we wanted to actually learn also from a professor later on. and also a visiting scientist at the Bunett Institute Institute in Melbourne, Australia. Prof is actively involved in research, especially in multi-resistant bacteria and virology. He has secured many national and international research grants amounting more than 6 million, and he has published extensively in more than 140 citation index journals and had authored several books. He has also graduated many PhD and MSc students, and one of the major research projects that he has led was the multi-million research grant on tackling leptospirosis in Malaysia. Internationally, he championed global issues such as influenza, antimicrobial resistance, and also leptospirosis through active involvement in national and international professional society. He was also the technical officer for laboratory at the WHO Organization South Pacific and was appointed by the WHO for the technical consultant to the Solomon Island, Cambodia, and also Papua New Guinea. So Prof. Zamberi has extensive experience. He is the subject matter expert on this in this matter. And then I think one of the story that I read also when the 2008 when the virus Nipah virus affected us, is one of actually the champion and one who actually give the technical opinion and also having an experience on this area. So today our conversation will be living the normal, understanding the pandemic and how we can move forward. So understanding is very important, as Abang Iskandar mentioned just now. Kalau kita tak understand, they will create the perception and misunderstanding that will lead in. Because under these circumstances, I think we need the real information to make a decision and then comfort us. So without further ado, hand over to Dr. Professor Zamberi, and is also his area of expert in the microbiologist and also virologist. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salihin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Very good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. Dan juga also to Dr. Abang, Abang Iskandar. Thank you for inviting me from Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak. I've heard about this jaringan, very good jaringan. Cuma ialah tak aktif lah. Kalau pun bergaul dengan orang Sarawak tu pun banyak ramai dijumpa secara fizikal. Kawan-kawan sekolah pun dah juga jumpa, tapi disebabkan oleh PKP apa tu saya dah jumpa dah. Jadi saya pun aktif tidak dalam another WhatsApp group yang ramai orang Sarawak. Ya cerita lain lah. Okay, jadi today going to talk about the current pandemic which is has been going on since bila March. The PKP starts, MCO starts March last year. Now already like one year, 4 months. Tapi the virus has been going on since late November in Wuhan. So masa tu pun kita pun dah get ready dah. Jadi just to tell you what is happening and then what is we're supposed to do. I mean not supposed to do lah. What we should do and how to move forward about this. Because we know that this pandemic is not going to be it's not going to disappear. Macam ni saja. It's going to be a long haul. The way we see it is a long haul lah. Kita tahu lah sampai bila, 10 tahun, 20 tahun. Jadi adakah kita nak lockdown sampai 20 tahun? Jadi that is something that we should also consider lah. So a bit about myself, just a briefly. Tadi pun dah mention sikit, just to highlight something lah. I'm Josephian and Kuchingite, and I came to and live in Semenanjung, Malaysia since 1989. So it's a long time already. I got my MD from UKM 1994 and my specialist degree also from UKM. I joined KKM 1994. After that, I joined UPM since 1999. So dah lama juga di UPM. And halfway I kerja dengan WHO lah for about a year. Basically, I was based in Fiji, a small island in the South Pacific, a very nice island, and in charge of the South Pacific nations. Ada banyak nation. Masa pergi siap buat tahu, oh banyak rupanya negara-negara South Pacific tu, dan jauh-jauh. So it's not easy to go from one country to another. So a good experience for me in WHO, and I know how they work now and how they tackle all this pandemic. And research-wise, I'm involved in many viruses, and especially respiratory viruses, hepatitis viruses, and also I was also involved as the program leader for leptospirosis. Masa saya kencing tikus tu, penyakit kencing tikus is a big problem about 5 years ago, and we gather our team and we try to tackle this issue lah, and alhamdulillah dah nampak dah under control lah. Sekarang kita pun jarang dengar lah pasal kencing tikus tu. In terms of international activities, also quite active. I'm current president of the Society of Infectious Diseases, and also our network, International Society of Infectious Diseases. I am now in the executive committee, both globally as well as Asia Pacific Society. So this gives us a lot of network in terms of our professional colleagues overseas, and then we exchange information and so on. So whatever information yang kita dapat tu kita akan validate, tanya betul ke sih this happening in that particular country and so on. So we have regular meeting selalu malam lah. Malam tu di situ tapi setidaknya siang lah because of the time zone. Tapi kesian juga pun ada our colleague from New Zealand, Australia yang paksa awal pagi meeting. Pukul 2 pagi, pukul 3 pagi. Okay, moving on. This is actually saudara abang pun dah mention that mungkin you just highlight pasalnya buku tu lah. This is one of my inaugural lecture which I put in the book, and this is to highlight what the research I've been doing since awal-awal kerja dulu in PM. There is a compilation of it. I still have a few more copies lah. The office lah, siapa mau ya, I can give them. And here I highlighted the fact that actually we are living in a virus world. Bukan the other way around. So viruses are everywhere, even more than humans. Jadi we actually at the losing end. This was in 2018. And masa ya pun kita never heard about this pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. So the idea of this is that we need to highlight that we are constantly under threat from dangerous infectious diseases over the years. Masa dulu kita pernah dengar pasal plague, and then after that influenza. The recent years ni, recent century ni is about influenza and infectious. Coronavirus pun baru je muncul lah, and this one is the worst coronavirus yang kita pernah dengar lah. So that's how it is, and these are some of the journal publication that I've put in. Ada banyak lah, tapi I just pick up a few here just to highlight that at my initial stage I work on trying to get the vaccines on some of the diseases. For example, respiratory syncytial virus is a common disease among childhood, and also enterovirus 71 adalah good positive findings, tapi is too long journey for vaccine. To start from the lab into when you have the product is very, very long actually, and a lot of money being spent. So it's not really easy. So lepas you halfway, I just decide to abandon because you don't see the impact on the society from the start. So that's the disadvantage of working in the lab. Of course, kita kena balance lah, working in the lab dengan working in the society. We also reported some some infections which is not detected in Malaysia is also here. For example, tadi here vocal virus, and coronavirus. This is not the coronavirus yang ada kena tu. This is strain yang namanya HKU1. So I will tell you all what is this strain, how it's related to SARS coronavirus 2. So well, I just that is basically what a bit of intro about myself. Now let's go to the subject matter. But before we go to the subject matter, just untuk yang beragama Islam lah, if you look at it from a bigger perspective is actually nothing else than trial and tribulations lah to all of us in the world. Jadi it is how that we respond to it. We suffer this 1 year or 2 years or 3 years even more, and this actually is Allah yang akan bagi kita this ujian ni, dan how do you respond to it? In terms of ada yang akan okay kan, I mean managing tadi, tapi yang rakan-rakan kita yang susah, gini dia respon. Dan ujian pada kita juga, adakah kita akan menolong mesti. Jadi this is something that we have to take note lah from the bigger perspective, and nothing will end if Allah tak izin, ngasih izin that nothing is end. So kita manusia tu just we try our best, we do our best to counteract this trials and tribulation. So that's the bigger perspective. So in terms of now the scientific part about this virus ni, as you know that it comes from Wuhan, and then a lot of mysteries lah surrounding this. A lot of ada yang kata ada cover up by the Chinese government. I pun dengar juga yang pun videos documentary. Tapi mau dengar yang mesti mau open our minds lah. Si boleh kita as scientist tu terus shoot down lah and deny the fact that mungkin what they say is conspiracy theory ya, mungkin ini betul, ada betulnya, mungkin kita pun nak mesti mau open our mind. Kita boleh kata no such thing as conspiracy theory, tapi kita mesti mau based on evidence lah, solid evidence. Nanti boleh kita kata terus deny that it does not happen. So that's our role as scientists. We cannot simply ada something fakta yang kita dismiss straight away because it goes against your principle ke apa saya. Kita pasti mau take it, open our mind and look at the evidences. Kalau kita rasa si evidence-nya si bagus ataupun not acceptable, then we have to say it so lah. So right now, as you know that from that Wuhan, it goes right all over the world because of the jet travel. So bezanya this pandemic and the previous pandemic, now we have era of jet travel, which the cases will just spread to all over the world. And this is a bit outdated about 1 month ago lah. I prepared this because this one actually for a conference last month. So saya dah masa nak update. Notice pun semalam baru ni Dr. Salihin madah kena malah presentation sikit baru bagus. Jadi saya sempat lah nak update lah, tapi here 1 month ago it was dropping tapi recently actually it goes up again. Jadi point of note here is the CFR, case fatality rate, maknanya out of all these 180 million cases, 2.2% will die. Actually, if you look at it, it's not many, 2.2%. Tapi sebab cases banyak gila lah, jadi that's why nampak in terms of numbers memang banyak. Tapi in terms of percentage, it's not many compared to this cousin dia macam MERS coronavirus is about 35%. Maknanya 35% people will die. And then we talk about SARS last time pun lebih kurang macam ni tu. SARS yang original SARS nombor 1, tu SARS nombor 2 tu. Yang kita hadapi tu SARS nombor 2. The cousin of SARS nombor 1 by tahun 2002-2003. About 10 years ago. Okay, so that's the global. Now how about Malaysia? Malaysia tu yalah last month pun cik seteruk macam tu nak. Jadi Past few days pun meningkat dengan banyak, tapi DG Madah, DG MOH lah, dia ada disebabkan of the increase in screening. That's why you see a lot of it. So here we can say that Malaysia pun increase. This one, like I wish to highlight to you this one. In terms of case fatality rate in Malaysia, which is here at the small table kat tengah-tengah, June last year, is 0.65% Malaysia. Maknanya dalam 1,000 orang adalah dalam 6 orang lah yang akan mati. Compared to our neighbours, Thailand, Indonesia, we are doing okay. Of course, Singapore boleh challenge lah. Case pun banyak, jadi they can manage better. Tadi I mentioned about the global average is global fatality rate is 2.2%. So ours is 0.65. Tapi I think the recent one is 0.7 plus lah. Naik sikit. So in terms of case fatality rate compared to the rest of the world, we are being alright. The chart on the right is on the testing. WHO Mada, that to know whether you are testing enough or not, your positive rate should be around ideally should be less than 3%. So situ lebih kurang for Malaysia tu color apa tu orange, jadi around 5 to 10%. So not that enough testing lah. Maknanya ada lagi yang kita detect. So apa yang kita report actually is under reporting. Ada banyak lagi. Macam Indonesia merah nak 10 to 20%. So they are not doing enough testing. So this is an indication of how extensive the virus is in the community. So here we can assume that actually yang kita Nangga mereported 14,000, 12,000 sebenarnya lagi banyak sebenarnya di community yang belum dikesan lagi. Tapi dah ada. Okay, so that is the bear that in mind lah. Nanti kalau cerita gini kita nak keluar daripada pandemik. And this is a Bloomberg COVID-19 resilience ranking. Talking about resilience. Di masa mula lecture tu kita nombor 35. Tapi the day on the day itself yang lecture kami month ago, actually ranking dah turun sampai 52. Jadi masa saya that was 1 month ago, we are number 52 out of number 53. Maknanya the second worst of these selected countries lah. Aku mesti tahu gini yang milih these countries, mungkin Dr. Salihin tahu lah kali. Kalau nak pilih country nak gini kah? Tapi gambaran di situ bahawa kita memang teruk lah. Kita memang teruk. 1 month ago. The latest one I check gini sama ada naik ke turun. Kita Nangga mungkin tengah situ pun Malaysia tu lah, dia macam yoyo lah, kejap naik kejap turun, terus lah. Jadi okay. Faktanya tu fakta Maret. On the left side kita 12,000 kurang daripada hari semalam. Setiap hari lah KKM akan keluarkan this data data pasal kes baru, kes sembuh, kes aktif, kadar kematian every day. Tapi this yang sebelah kanan tu, this is the first time dia keluar Maret. Actually I was so happy benda tu keluar sebab I've been telling my KKM colleagues, ini you keluar banyak-banyak beribu-ribu, you should tell us as well. Actually how many are serious cases, how many are asymptomatic, how many are mild, yang ada gejala, yang mild, sebab that will determine how are we going to move. And data tu sepatutnya dipamerkan hari Maret dulu, so that we can see how we can tackle this problem. Rupa-rupanya data pada KKM, rupa-rupanya 98.5% kategori 1, which is tidak ada gejala, dan kategori 2 bergejala ringan. Dan 1.5% yang kategori lain tu. 3 tu yang mana kita dapat pneumonia lah, radang paru-paru. Kategori 4 tu yang dapat radang paru dan perlukan oksigen. Dan yang tu dah kelima dah kritikal lah, masuk ICU apa semua lah. Actually I did manual calculation lah based on data yang di sebelah kiri tu, yang ada berapa orang mati, berapa orang di ICU. So I did rough calculation before this data. Pasti tambah-tambah sikit lah, dia pun assumption apa semua. Jadi like at that time was around like 80+% non-serious. So jadi itu the actual datanya 98% actually not serious. So of course kita perlu ingat juga these people are not serious tu bukan semaknanya nasihat akan jadi serius. Some of them will become serious later on lah, and vice versa lah, yang serius tu akan jadi serius. Jadi just an indication on us on the current situation. What I can see here, if you compare to previously, masa zaman awal-awal last year, a lot more now are asymptomatic dan gejala ringan. Tu dah kira vast majority dah tu. Anonymous anonymous unanimous yang boleh kira kan, unanimous tu dah sikit gila tu nak serius nak mau dikira lagi lah. So that's the one of the thing yang kita fikir ya, ini kita nak menghadapi pandemik tu disebabkan oleh adakah disebabkan this few people yang akan sakit tu, adakah kita nak lockdown? So that's shouldn't be lah. Okay, so this is just to show you the history of pandemics. Pandemics tu berlaku sejak manusia lagi lah, zaman-zaman dulu lah, tengah tahun 165 start dah plague, kayak smallpox, plague, kolera. Masa saya pun manusia pun belum kami pun dah banyak pandemik. And over the century dah start dengan flu. That's why WHO actually play ada banyak plan, contingency plan ataupun preparation for flu. Sebab we have a lot of influenza pandemics over the century, and this one that we are a bit caught unprepared about the coronavirus. Tapi the basic structure is there already lah, what to do when there is a pandemic. Even ada buku lah untuk refer to, all countries should refer to that guideline, but it is for flu. So ianya adjust sajalah, flu and coronavirus. Of course these are two different viruses, tapi basically what they are supposed to do is they call that is in the book. In fact kita pun ada macam training just in case pandemic to happen, tapi sekiranya tu dah happen dah, macam semua dah once si prepare lah, pasal not well trained lah. So that is a big lesson learned for many countries. They are actually not well prepared for a pandemic. That's why ramai gila orang mati tu and so on. So phases of pandemic pun ada di situ inside the book. So pandemic is nothing new. That's why my talk is about last time we are actually living in a virus world and in a constant threat of all these nasty viruses. Okay, so let's talk a bit about coronaviruses. Influenza viruses too is a different thing, but this is the first pandemic on coronaviruses yang kita hadapi. Kita pun ada dulu pada dengar pasal SARS coronavirus 2003, and then kolom nombor 4 and then MERS kita pun siapa yang selalu pergi Mekah, Madinah, dengar lah MERS balik sana minum susu unta dan sebagainya lah. Jadi that is the cousin of what the coronavirus yang kita hadapi sekarang. Tapi fortunately SARS coronavirus 1 dengan MERS coronavirus tu, they are not as infectious as SARS coronavirus tu, tapi fatality rate-nya tinggi. Cumanya not as infectious. Macam tu lah, 10%, 35% untuk tinggi lah, dia rendah lagi anak satunya. Jadi that's why it's difficult for them to create a pandemic for these two. Fortunately not. Dah fatality rate very high and then very infectious, then we are in trouble. So fortunately saya dah. Yang lain-lain tu adalah yang dijumpa pada manusia lah, macam coronavirus 229E, coronavirus OC43, first two column 63, HKU 1 yang tadi kami our team isolate this in Malaysia. So these are the normal human viruses yang daripada haiwan juga, tapi sick inilah yang menyebabkan common cold saja lah. So not that serious. And all these coronaviruses actually comes from animal. Jadi bila dia from animal, dia akan macam kita terjangkit, dan this virus will adapt to us. So that's how it works. So for example, all other coronaviruses is either coming from bat, vast majority from bat, kelawar, dan ada dua lah daripada tikus, rodent lah. Jadi normally from bat sama ada direct transmission to human ataupun ni ada intermediary host. Can be raccoon, can be camel, macam MERS coronavirus is coming from camel, and from SARS there is a cat, civet cat in China, and the human contracted from the particular host. For SARS tu yang ada tenggilin. So that is another issue lah. Evidence yang diberinya pada SARS, the intermediary host is tenggilin, is something yang masih debatable lagi lah. Ada bukti yang kukuh. So that's how it works. And this is the virus. This is a bit detail lah, just to show you the virus, and then dalamnya ada genetic materialnya that will produce the protein and so on. What we are interested in, untuk layman mungkin spike protein lah, macam banyak sekali spike protein lah. So this is the spike protein on the surface of the virus. Okay. So how does it how actually this happen? Ada dua teori lah yang sekarang tu tengah di debat. In fact, WHO pun hantar tim di Wuhan ni to investigate how this happen. Spillover theory ataupun lab leak theory. Spillover theory tu yang tadilah daripada bat, and then mungkin ada ataupun saya ada intermediate host ataupun direct from bat. So that is the spillover theory, and that virus akan menyangkit manusia akan adapt di manusia, so ada human to human transmission. So that is the spillover theory. Another theory is lab leak theory. As you know, in Wuhan dia ada Wuhan Institute of Virology, and they are working on coronaviruses. Okay, before I go into that, just to tell you about the spillover theory though. Of course, that is the well-accepted theory. Tetapi masalahnya di China tu, in Wuhan, saya ada bat je. Because it is the center of the Wuhan is somewhere in the center of China. Jadi forest masih banyak, and compared to the southern part, when you see bats, a lot of it in the southern China, because there's still forest and then near borders of Vietnam, Laos. Jadi sia masih ada banyak. Lagipun sia subtropical lah. Jadi you can see a lot of bats, and also a lot of bats. The SARS pun suspected from there as well. Jadi that is something yang go against this spillover theory. So how to explain this? And then yang ada sebab ada orang jual they get it from the fish market, jual. Walaupun fish market actually dia jual macam-macam sajalah, macam-macam binatang saja. And in fact, when they do it, they couldn't find the source of the animal yang di fish market tadi. Saya dapat jumpa. Semestinya saya dah lah, tapi saya pada jumpa. So jadi that's why the spillover theory tu siap. Dia punya pun missing gap yang masih ada lagi. Jadi kita pun masih tahu sama ada spillover theory ke si. Now the lab leak theory. So that came the Wuhan Institute of Virology tadi. Kebetulan sila tu they work on coronaviruses. And this coronaviruses tu coming from the southern part of China. I mentioned tadi kan. So they work here. This is one of the top lab in the world lah, you can say. And the equivalent to CDC pun lab yang pun kita tak dengar dalam movie, dia pakai pakai suit yang level the higher security, pakai suit, and then, tapi masalahnya during that time there's an issue of untrained staff working in that lab. Sampai CDC pun paksa hantar orang untuk mengajar setidaknya gini pakai suit, gini how to prevent all this. And that's why there's a big what do you call that theory about whether is it possible that this coronavirus infected the staff while they're working on it, and then staff tu akan pergi keluar lah and spread it to people. And this yang ni Datuk pun susah kita nak dismiss, sebab they are also doing work on this coronaviruses. Actually the original virus yang they work on is not that macam ni tu, tapi dia macam doing work on trying to find the fittest strain, jadi masalahnya di this lab. For whatever reason lah, I don't know what why they want to do that particular research. That's why WHO hantar tim di Wuhan untuk investigate ni, and of course WHO pun mention about the difficulty for them to get proper information and so on. Saya tahu lah mungkin ada cover up ke si, and then the team yang lead WHO ni pun actually dapat grant before that lah, dapat grant daripada Wuhan Institute of Virology. Di conflict of interest pun ada juga siap. Jadi so it's a bit of difficult situation. And when you read in the papers, WHO kata there was no leak from this particular lab. Tapi kalau kita baca the details of it, you read about all these restrictions and that they have faced. So we have to be open. Is it the spillover theory ataupun lab leak-nya masih open for discussion lagi lah. Kita pun tahu yang mana satu yang betul lah. Dua-dua possible. If you ask me as a scientist lah, and also looking into the facts, both are possible. It's just that the solid evidence yang belum ada lagi. Jadi nak kata conspiracy theory susah nak komen. Okay, so that's about it, and also now talking about the issue about mutation, untuk memahami lah, senang untuk memahami pasal mutation coronavirus tu. Sebenarnya semua virus mutate. Mutate tu maksudnya replication, dia akan masuk dalam sel. Semua virus akan masuk dalam sel. Jadi tujuan dia masuk dalam sel tu adalah untuk dia survive, untuk dia reproduce. Sebabnya dia boleh reproduce without cells. Punya atas dalam udara ke, atas meja ke, kursi ke, dia siapa nak reproduce. Jadi they need a host, cells lah, to get in, and then ada they use the host mechanism to produce progenies of them. Millions of them will come out. Satu masuk dalam sel, million will come out. Million of the viruses will come out. Macam tu lah. You can see dia akan masuk. Bila dia masuk ya tadi dia pun gene ya, RNA ataupun DNA, dia akan dikopinya. Dia cuba nak copy sebab dia akan menghasilkan dia pun anak-anak. Jadi bila dikopi, they will not a perfect copying. Not a perfect copying. Jadi ada mistake lah. Macam kita lah copy homework orang. Jadi adalah mistake sia-sia nak. Jadi not a perfect copying. Jadi bilanya not perfect, this one actually accidentally will be translated into a different protein. As you know, all these genes though, at the end of the day is actually they akan ditranslate into protein. Jadi setiap kalinya replicate ni akan mulai mistake and a different protein will come out. And bila dia keluar dia jadi macam kita lah, contoh ekstrim lah, kita menghasilkan mutant hanya salah lah, mungkin salah copy gene ke apakah, tiba-tiba ada ekstra tangan. Lah. Jadi yang mana yang the fittest one will survive. Mana yang fit nya akan matilah. That's why kita over time, mungkin kita nangga chart di bawah sekali sebelah kanan. Is looking at mutation over time. There will be mutation. There will be mutation of the virus. Walaupun kita tu kira berjalan ke negara lain pun, independently our different countries will have their own mutation. Jadi I suspect pun kita pun ada juga mutation kita yang dominan di situ. Nak kata delta, katanya di gym ada delta. I agree delta yang akan masuk, tapi delta tu daripada siapa? Is it from katanya pada India ataupun someone masuk dalam negara kita, ataupun is it from our own? I have my thinking is we created this as well. So maknanya negara lain pun ada delta, they have their own delta, kita pun ada juga. Jadi kita tak ada nak compare tu mungkin ada slight variation. Jadi very difficult to say okay this one actually delta tu daripada India ke apa. So it mutate, it isolate the countries pun dia akan mutate juga. So that is how it's happening lah. And this mutation tu bilanya mutate, there is a what we call natural selection lah. So tadi anaknya the virus is, whatever is fit, the fittest virus. Maknanya our body akan try to get rid of the virus. Only the fittest one will survive and continue dia pun livingnya. Jadi that's why tadi bilanya berubah tadi protein tadi, dia boleh bertukar jadi increase in transmissibility, keboleh jangkitan makin meningkat, ataupun virulence tadi. Virulence tu maksudnya virulence tu maksudnya semakin ganas lah, semakin boleh membunuh, semakin sakit, dan juga makin drug resistant tu possible ya untuk virus lain lah. Maknanya mula okey, lepas tu bila ada new mutation tu jadi si okey. This one pun problem juga tu. Mungkin kita ada drug pula nak tahu kita ada new drug antivirus untuk coronavirus tu, ada kemungkinan nya pun bertahan lama lah. Maybe ada drug resistant as well. Immunological resistant tu is antibody. Antibody kita kini tu dah ada. Bila nya mutate, nya akan menghasilkan a different kind of presentation. Antibody yang sedia ada tu mungkin si dapat counter yang baru tu. Contohnya kita vaksin nak, jadi mungkin ada new strain-nya si berkesan. So but generally we look at mutation di kalangan virus-virus yang lain dan juga coronavirus over the years. We see that if they mutate, is a trade-off between transmissibility and virulence. Maknanya, kita faham tadi yang virus tu perlu host. Monnya bunuh hostnya, dia akan mati. Die with the host lah. So chances of transmit kurang. Macam in this case, if they are more virulent, kill the host, then siap dapatnya nak hidup lagi sebab dia dah mati with the host. So a good virus would be dia doesn't kill the host, make it asymptomatic atau mild saja. Jadi that will enhance dia pun transmission lah, and get them to survive even more, and infect more hosts. So that's the way we are looking at it. So look from the original virus sampai kini tu, we see that it's getting more transmissible. Boleh jangkitannya makin lebih, seperti yang DG pun ada madah dia nak, the whole world pun madah dia, The current Delta tu is about 200 times more than the Wuhan original virus, 200 times. Tapi kita nangganya ada makin seganas yang Wuhan je lah. So maknanya they're trying to adapt to human mathematics. Try not to kill the host. Siapa yang mati ya mungkin disebabkan oleh mungkin tinggal balas badan kita ataupun orangnya pun dah lemah, dah kronik, orang tua, macam which is also the same with other viruses lah macam influenza. It's the same story. Okay, so this is just a poll from Nature lah, poll saja. They ask the scientists, how likely do you think that coronavirus, SARS coronavirus 2 will become an endemic virus? That is one that continue to circulate in pockets of the global population. The vast majority, about 89%, nada, likely or very likely. So it's going to stay with us for a long, long time. These are scientists. And second question is, how likely do you think that SARS coronavirus 2 can be eliminated from some regions? Mungkin kita naga macam Australia, New Zealand, they're trying to achieve zero transmission. That's why ada 2 kes je terus lockdown. Melbourne itu pun dah lockdown. Jadi ni try to apply concept elimination. Ya namanya elimination for Australia and also New Zealand. And the thing is, it is very destructive lah to the economy lah. And how long can you stand? Sebab cases will always come from overseas. Even though Australia and New Zealand are 2 islands lah, senang lah sedaja nak kontrol lah. Jaga apa namanya kapal dengan aeroplane je lah. Tapi how long can you do that? Soon, a lot of more viruses will come, and sekan yang nak mula lockdown. Bukan macam lockdown kita tu break notice 2 hari nak. Sia instant lockdown. Bila diumumkan terus lockdown. Ya. Very extreme way of doing. And also WHO pun dah madalah, the COVID-19 will never go away. So, what is the end game? Ada 3 cara. 1 is eradication, number 2 is elimination, number 3 is cohabitation. Eradication tu macam smallpox lah. Kalau kita dah siap dengar lagi nak smallpox. Smallpox is a very dangerous disease those days. And very high mortality rate, and eradicated dah sedar dah smallpox. Virusnya pun dah sedar, except in 2 high security labs, US and Russia. Hopefully sedar orang lab leak mereka, punya lab leak habis kita. That's one. Number 2 strategy is elimination. Elimination tu macam Australia dengan New Zealand lah. Ya, eliminate that particular region saja. Dekat own country saja. Tapi ni dapat nak control siapa nak datang masuk, sekan yang nak close borders all the time nak datang sia quarantine apa semua nak. So that is one of the technique lah. Even for Malaysia, I think these 2 is impossible lah. Elimination impossible. Kita pun border pun siapa nak control, siapa boleh masuk lah. Land border semua. Memang in my opinion is hard. Very close to impossible. 99.9999%. So we are left with cohabitation. Maknanya we have to live with the virus. We have no choice. We have to live with the virus. Tapi we need to take precautions on how to tackle this virus. Kita dah tahu tadi how they mutate, how they behave now, the behavior of the virus. Let's see how actually we can tackle this. So this is the way I see it. The virus tu bukan kita harapkan vaksin saja. We hope to have prophylaxis and also therapeutic. Okay, vaksin ni of course semua dah tahu dah nak. The vaccines yang dibawa oleh Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia masuk, the approved by KKM. They are very good vaccines. So this is a strategy yang akan protect those yang vulnerable lah. Sebab the vaccine actually they are what do you call that, meant for reducing hospitalization, reducing severe COVID, and reducing death. They are very good at it. Tapi transmission tu nya bukan 100% lah, about 50%. in reducing transmission. Maknanya siapa yang dapat vaksin tu can still have the virus, can still be infected. Tapi the viral load kurang lah, virus quantity virusnya kurang. And terapeutik pun orang yang sakit, itu pun kita masih ada antiviral agent, antivirus macam influenza ada. Coronavirus tu masih dalam apa nama tu, clinical trial. Ada banyak adalah kandidatnya, tapi nya masih dalam clinical trial. Sama ada berkesan ke si untuk membunuh virus tu. Mula kita kata antivirus tu maknanya dia akan bunuh virus. Tapi ada sikit lagi condition adalah our reaction to the virus akan menghasilkan banyak our immune system. Yang tu is another problem. Bukan setakat virus masuk dalam badan saja. Is our reaction to the virus also gives a problem. And many people died because of that. Kita react to the virus, kita instead of killing the virus. Contohnya kalau let's say ada pencuri masuk dalam rumah kita. Masalah kita pun ada dalam rumah juga. Sama ada kita nak pakai pisau ke, nak pakai pistol ke, ataupun pakai bom. Jadi nak bunuh pencuri ya, you can use all these three. Tapi if you use bomb, you will destroy your house as well. Jadi sama juga cerita macam kita lah. Jadi virus masuk badan kita, how we react to the virus? Sometimes just antibody apa semua. Sometimes the whole arsenal of immune system is being activated. Overreaction lah. Jadi bila ia berlaku, ia akan destroy the other organs as well. Dia agak multiple organs will be involved. That's why kita nanggap orang muda pun mati. Dia nampak sihat tapi sebab reaction to the virus overwhelming. Jadi ia pun destroy, ia pun kidney, liver, the rest. Jadi that's jadi kita pun heran lah dia akan mati sebabnya. So terapeutik kita pun ada antibody terapi masih dalam apa nama dia clinical trials lagi. Prophylaxis tu apa ni sebelum lah macam vaksin, fungsi macam vaksin juga, tapi is more of makan ubat sebelum sebagai pencegahan. That's why it's called prophylaxis lah. Maknanya kalau let's say dalam household kita tu, dalam rumah kita ada seorang positif, kita cepat-cepat kita makan ubat. Yang tu belum ada lagi. Jadi pun ada yang lagi baguslah. So that kita pun badan kita pun virus masuk dia akan mati sebab dah ada ubat dalam badan kita. And dia pun ada clinical trial juga, kita belum ada lagi. Ivermectin ya cerita lain lah. Mun ada masa mungkin explain lah apa berlaku pada ivermectin. Jadi these three strategies tu kini tu yang paling advance ada vaksin lah. So yang terapeutik, yang profilaksis pencegahan dengan terapeutik tu sedang dalam clinical trial. Mungkin insya-Allah lah mungkin akan datang kita akan ada drug tu sebab as you can see HIV dulu bila HIV keluar itu dah berpuluh-puluh anti HIV ada in the market lah. And all these are very good drugs. Contohnya macam hepatitis C pun dulu kita ada hepatitis tu dapat di-treat lah. Itu dah cure. No virus at all. Jadi insya-Allah lah mun diizinkan Tuhan kita akan dapat ubat-ubat tu. Jadi what happen after this is akan berlakulah decrease in hospitalization, decrease in death. Tapi virus yang masih lagi circulate macam virus-virus lain, cuma kita tu walaupun kita get infected, we are not too worried because mungkin kita dapat mild saja. And eventually later on bila dah ramai orang dah infected, herd immunity akan achieve. Herd immunity tu mungkin semua dah tahu lah. It used to be a very difficult concept dulu Saya cerita dengan student saya pun yang si faham. Tapi kini tu dah banyak kali dengar, mungkin yang banyak kali baca nak. Suppose all of you pun dah tahu apa herd immunity immunity kelompok, ada konsep of immunity kelompok. Mesti tahu bolehlah cerita lah. I can tell you all what the concept is. Of course kita cerita pasal variant tadi, dia akan sama ada vaksin kita tu berkesan ke si melawan variant tu. Setakat tu alhamdulillah berkesan, walaupun nya pun si ada report ada kurang sikit antibody kita dihasilkan. yang dapat counter the variants, tapi so far so good. But let's say something happen, then the manufacturer needs to update the vaccine. Dia kan paksa tukar ni pun vaksin lah. Kini tu our vaccine is based on the original virus yang Wuhan. Tapi work has now been done to update the vaccine to include Delta dan yang lain-lain, Delta, Beta, Alpha. Alpha dah sini lah, tapi Delta, the current one is the dominant one is the Delta. And kita akan jumpa lah infect, reinfect cycle lah, kena lagi. Jadi tapi risau gila sebab nya mal, dia jadi mal. Okay, so later on we can say that it's just a common cold, common cold coronavirus. Later on lah kita akan the way we look at the mutation and Marek pun dah nampak dah dia punya trend ya. Jadi this is what how we I foresee that will happen. And vaccination of course is very important. Kita pun dah ramp up our vaccination. So hopefully bila dah kami dapat vaksin ya, kita akan nangga kes pun turun. Sepatutnya bila cemia dah si perlu dah kira orang yang dapat yang saya ada gejala dan apa namanya mild lah sifat kira lah. Kita kira orang yang masuk ICU je lah. So ICU orang yang perlu oksigen, that is more important actually. Of course that is the goal of vaccination, is to prevent the serious disease tu, bukan not on the transmission. Okay. Okay, just a few more slides. How are we in terms of perception of the vaccine? This is a poll done by Ipsos. Ipsos so is a survey company lah, survey all over the world. Looking at Malaysia is about kalau ada soalan ya, if a vaccine for COVID-19 were available, I would get it. It is 5% Malaysian madah yes, we will get it. About 50% yang ada concern lah, they don't agree. So why they don't agree is Malaysia di bawah tu about half we say that they are afraid of the side effects. 1/3 say that it is not effective, and another third says that not enough risk for COVID-19. So again, this is actually the same reason all over the world, worry about side effects. Tapi dia si risau pasal COVID dah, yang worry about the side effect. So that's something yang kerjaan perlu pola. Okay, that's all from me. Tuan Pengerusi.
Thank you, Prof. It's very enlightening. It's very interesting and also full of information. So, adik kakak yang di luar ataupun all the participants yang ni, they can actually write your question to the chat box, and also later on we'll open the session to you. You can actually interact direct with Prof. Very interesting slide, Dr. Prof. Okay, just now you're talking about the theory, lab theory, and also lab theory, and also spillover theory. So I wanted to actually understand from your Prof, with the Spanish flu in 1918 just now. So you're talking about one of the scientists mentioned the virus pieces of DNA and RNA, which is a toxic protein. And then this, there's a theory also, they're saying that this mutate or these viruses become active and become worse because of the electrification of the world. During then, I think there's a radio wave, and then you're coming with the radar, and you know that from your slide also there is a Wuhan, there's a center for the 5G. Also, there's another theory, conspiracy theory. And also in your article also, your research also, Prof, you mentioned there about this electromagnet punya, I think I can say theory also. Maybe we can, Prof, it is one of the thing because of the protein, the RNA and DNA is decontaminated, the protein. I'm not so sure. It's a very technical thing because of the toxic of the protein, Prof.
Okay, so good question. conspiracy theories lah. Tapi yang 1918 Spanish flu, Spanish fly Spanish flu.
Okay. You can joke of the world that Prof.
Yalah, joke of the world. Okay, actually I ada masa tu masa
oh, you were there during press conference.
betul depan dia, depan minister. Ya, si madangannya lah ya, apa salah madah. Okay, this Spanish flu actually flu influenza is very different sebab virusnya a bit different, nya pun DNA-nya segmented. Maknanya nya boleh bergabung dengan another strain. Particularly macam daripada animals, daripada babi, daripada burung. Jadi nya boleh mix and match. Jadi bila dia mix nya akan menghasilkan satu virulent influenza yang virulent. That's why the WHO memang very concerned about this. When kita dengar China reporting influenza from banyak yang report influenza from animals and that, semua macam very scared already, because we don't want to be another pandemic. Jadi rupa-rupanya bila kita fikir pasal influenza tu, coronavirus pun terjadi. Jadi that is what's happening lah. Tapi memang that 1918 is nothing to do with whatever you said just now, is because of the nature of the virus. At the time was ripe and a mixing of influenza from different species tu yang menyebabkan the emergence of a fitter species. So yang tu satu. And then 5G tu of course lah, teori-teori macam-macam, 5G can cause this, can cause that kan. Bukannya ni ajak lah. Of course bila madah yang macam reasonable, tapi we need to look at the data lah. And 5G tu kita pun tahu lah, yang very strong pun electro wave kan, wave yang very strong. Jadi mungkin ada kesan lah. So, kita pun cik tahu. It's too early to tell because in the long run kita pun cik tahu lah. Tapi we keep our mind open, look at the evidence and advocate back. Tapi sekiranya tu kita boleh madah lah sebabnya it has to be from evidence.
Okay, my other question to you, Prof. Vaccine, what is actually kita ada Pfizer and then all this AZ also Sinovac. What is actually the ingredient, Prof? And then how is it the vaccine react to your body? Because sometimes I think the reaction can be mild, can be very strong, can be knee. So is it because of what? Because of your makanan, because of your body antibody, because of different races, because they are testing this vaccine all over the world, and then some is actually effective to this part of the world, that part of the world, you know. So what is actually a vaccine, and how that is that direction to do?
Okay. Again, a very basic question yang very important untuk layman tahu lah. Actually, vaccine tu is trying to prepare yourself, your immune system, untuk menghasilkan antibody against dangerous infectious diseases. Give you example lah. Very simple example. Kita tahu ada enemy yang akan datang. Enemy yang akan datang. Contoh negara kita tu akan diserang oleh satu negara yang lagi powerful lah. Tapi sama ada kita nak, mungkin kita lawannya akan garanti kalah lah. Tapi kita ada choice, kita mesti mau train our people lah, our soldiers how to be prepared to go against this enemy. And kena train banyak-banyak kali. That's why the doses tadi tu, the booster dose tu actually nak train our immune system to be prepared. Kadang-kadang contohnya tadi askar kita dah bagi training yang nak, mesti mau ada refresher course lah. Train them again, so that they remember how to use the weapon. Sebab enemy belum datang lagi, nak menembak kata dah lupa gini, nak tekan ini, nak masuk ke peluru, nak mau diajar balik nak. Jadi ada constant training. Jadi that's why booster doses tadi is for that, to retrain our immune system to to prepare for that infectious diseases. So similarly, vaccine tu adalah is a form of nak stimulate our immune system to prepare ourselves, sama ada penghasilan antibody. Dia bukan antibody saja only dalam badan kita yang ada macam-macam immune response. Jadi it's not only antibody saja. Ada kalau kita deep into immunology, kita akan belajar dalam badan kita actually ada satu penembak tepat lah. Is a cell tapi dia very very precise. Precise against certain virus, even certain strain of virus. Yang lain asyik ngacuk, tapi bila masuk aja tu dia akan kill immediately. Jadi yang kita namanya T cell. Kita macam B cell, T cell. Selain daripada macam antibody tu macam peluru lah. Bila masuk je kita akan keluarkan peluru. Jadi balik pada asalnya tadi, tujuan vaksin adalah supaya kita mendapat perlindungan lah. Badan kita tu prepare for the actual virus. Kita akan masuk benda yang apa-apalah, DNA ke, ataupun virus yang mati ke, ataupun proteinnya ke. So that macam is more like a book lah, a training manual lah, you can say, a training manual for soldiers. So they will learn, okay, this is how the virus look like, how do you counter it, and kill the virus. Bila yang actual one datang, dia dah prepare. So macam ni lah. Jadi we have so many technologies sekarang tu. The latest study is the mRNA lah, from Pfizer apa semua. Tapi ada yang madah kenapa mRNA tu cepat gila di approve lah. Ini teknologi baru tapi cepat gila di approve. Actually teknologi tu bukan baru, dah 30 years of research. Tapi dapat di perfect until recently. Sebenarnya dapat perfect. Tiba-tiba pula pandemik tu. Jadi peluang lah untuk sebenarnya guna that platform untuk mRNA, and alhamdulillah lah kita dapat satu vaksin yang very effective lah sebenarnya. Very effective. Jadi mungkin rahmat pada kita juga lah.
Prof, lot of skeptic outside there. Orang ambil virus, they're still comparing. Okay, this one is good, one is not good. So, what is your advice? Sama ada this one is good, or macam Pfizer good ke, Sinovac good ke, CanSino good ke? So, a lot of skeptic on this. Which one is actually? What is your advice? And then what is macam ni sebenarnya?
Okay. So sekarang ni serang tu kita nangga boleh nangga data yang diberi sebenarnya lah, sebab very difficult to compare apple to oranges. Actually mungkin kita nangga macam Pfizer madahnya 95%. Tapi masa ianya mula kes belum banyak lagi. Sinovac madahnya dapat 50%. Tapi kes masa saya memang banyaklah kes. And then kita mau tahu juga 50% tu again hospitalization. Adakah dia mengurangkan kematian ataupun mengurangkan severe COVID? Jadi ini tu macam a bit susah kita nak compare dengan itu. Tapi now is the time we can compare. MOH nak compare lah. Sebab is what we call as a real world data. So kita tu these few vaccines dalam arena pandemik tu, penggunaan pandemik tu. Jadi setidaknya there is macam fair play for everyone lah. So barat KKM perlu ada research on this lah. Most important thing is these vaccines is it capable to prevent death, prevent severe COVID, and prevent hospitalization. These three is very important. Yang lainnya prevent transmission, prevent infection. Of course we desire that, tapi mun ada bagi bagus, tapi mun sedah pun doesn't matter. These three parameters are the most important. So sekarang tu data pun kita pun ada, jadi siapa nak kita nak badah yang bagus. But for us, because vaccine supply pun banyak, better ambil apa yang ada je lah. Daripada saya dah langsung
jujur lah. Okay, Prof, another one. My question to you, because I think Malaysia we have spent a lot also, and we have many institutions which involved in research and development also R&D on this area of microbiology, virus, and all these things, Prof. Are we ready to produce on our own vaccine, Prof? Like macam Indonesia, I think other part of the world they are quite advanced. As you mentioned just now, macam dekat Wuhan, it's a very sophisticated punya lab. And then I think YBhg also mentioned we're going to produce our own vaccine in 3 years' time. So based on your own, who's involved directly in this, Prof, are we able or mampu? We have the competency or how? From
very complicated. Dia nak fikir banyak benda untuk vaksin tu bukan, it's not easy. Bila you start pun ada do animal studies pun not necessarily yang akan berjaya dalam human. So it's a very challenging journey and very expensive. You're talking about billions of ringgit investment. Starting from scratch, and one thing is bila dah siap pun, bila clinical trials pun very expensive. Clinical trials nak okay pun, kita nak jual is another matter kan. Economic play an important role, and then with so many vaccines available all over the world, and actually yang kita nanggap vaksin yang approved tu actually 5 aja nak. Ada banyak lagi sebenarnya waiting in line. Around 20 waiting line clinical trials gitu. So akan datang insyaAllah kita akan lebih banyak vaksin untuk just for COVID. But yalah, nak jual is no matter you spend billions and then siapa nak guna nak. So that is the economic issue of it lah, the economic aspect lah. Dan kadang-kadang tiba-tiba ada fake news destroy the reputation, dah semua orang sibuk ambil Malaysian made vaccine, things like that lah. Tapi yalah, I agree we have to start somewhere lah. We have to start somewhere because it's not only coronavirus, mungkin some other viruses in future lah. We don't know, and vaccine capability tu kita very limited. Even though actually kita pun menghasilkan vaksin tapi untuk haiwan, untuk veterinary vaccine memang ada, and we export it to many countries. I pun cerita gini, how we can leverage on that, ataupun work to be closely with a vaccine company ke, all these giant, we can actually get, saya tahu lah, transfer of technology apa. Because it's not easy. Lab satu hal, tapi nak translate into high scale manufacturing process is very complicated. I pun tahu nama lagi ni.
But we have the expertise tak, Prof? To come up with that.
I don't think so lah. We don't have the experience pun nak menghasilkan. I don't know anyone lah yang have that experience.
So
nak scale up, and then before you start on human, you need to have your good manufacturing facility up and going, and that doesn't guarantee a success, you know.
Yeah.
Banyaklah perkaranya.
Yeah, I remember last time macam di Sarawak, I think the start for the HIV pun Jerangor merah semua sekali kan, Prof. They wanted to actually have that one of the ubat juga lah for the HIV. I don't know what's happening to that lah. So that's one of the example. Okay, you're talking about the cohabitation just now, one of the exit strategy for this, Prof. So do you think what we are doing now in terms of KKM and also the Kerajaan Malaysia punya policy on this is actually going toward that? Because I think some other countries, like for example macam Singapore, they has already declared cohabitation also. And then some other countries like in Africa, for example, they don't care about this COVID. Pakistan, for example, Nigeria, Ghana, these people. That's why I think if you look into the index of Nikkei, I think last time Nikkei coming with the index also in terms of how is it the country recover from this, they coming with index. I think we get the number 54, something like that, which is a number 100 plus number, which is I think very lacking lah. But I think this country, other country like in Africa, they don't care about this one. They just feel like this one is like endemic, it's a flu, like a novel flu. So what is our need for us? Are we actually policy that we have now, and then the government, how the government moving to this pandemic with the endemic now. From your opinion on that, are we in the right path to actually to coming out with this?
Yeah, disclaimer dulu lah, saya tak kerja dengan BPM. And I'm not privy to all the decision making process.
Okay.
Kita pun mesti tahu apa decision making processnya, apa factors to take into consideration. Kita pun susah lah nak komen lah kan. Tapi from outside perspective lah, the way we look at it is sekarang tu memang actually saya pun dah banyak kali cakap my KKM kritik juga lah. We cannot be like this forever. Looking at the way the virus has mutated, and then sekarang dia tu pun dah beribu-ribu case. So we have to do things differently lah. And also that Singapore pun dah berani ambil tindakan pun, UK pun dah, they are not going to, biarlah kes banyak-banyak pun saya kisah, tapi yang penting adalah that hospitalization, severe COVID and death tadi dapat dikurangkan. Mungkin kita dengar data UK pun banyak kesnya, 50,000 lebih, tapi kes yang seriusnya kurang. That is the impact of the vaccine at the moment. That I think that is the way that we should go, because we cannot be locking down like this and then destroying our economy. Bila in the long run kita dah siap dah duit, ini kita nak treat healthcare pun dah hancur.
Ya.
Jadi nak kata okay, mungkin I see some signs lah, macam kemarin pun KKM pun dah ada beri data yang asymptomatic and coming indoor. That is a good sign, sebab mungkin nak bagi soft landing to us to get prepared that we are not going for zero transmission. Nak bagi kita prime kita dulu lah, supaya kita set down nak question, ada case why you are not doing anything. Jadi in future mungkin ada case we are not doing anything. Pun sampainya sakit je kita akan do something.
I think there is, as I mentioned just now, I think from the yesterday punya announcement, I think slightly bit a bit. I think the government is preparing our people to actually to exit dengan number, and then I think they're coming up with the strategy to allow those who get the fully vaccinated so that we can familiar, Prof. So okay, Prof, thank you so much. I think now we allow our participant to ask question. Otherwise, I have many questions to Prof also. Can we have the question, Moses, and also Abang Iskandar to help us, to help me to with the question? If there is any.
Okay. We have a few questions from the chat, but before that, let me allow Azam to share the 50 penonton bertuah that will receive a 50 ringgit voucher from Shopee. So
nampak kah?
Yeah, so we have the
green one.
Yeah, so we will, you see your name here, we will contact you with the voucher. The way it works is we will give you a code, and then you can go to Shopee and berbelanja lah for 50 ringgit. Okay?
Yeah.
So thank you, Azam.
And also to those who haven't filled in the Google form, please fill in the Google form. At least I can contact you personally and send you the code. Shopee voucher. See.
What you can do is you can ambil gambar and then send to them lah, Moses.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, that very good. Thank you, tahniah kepada yang dapat Shopee 50 ringgit. So 50 ringgit, I think you plus another 50 ringgit, you can buy a lot of Shopee. We don't want to promote Shopee. Actually, thanks to the KPDHEP sponsoring the voucher.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first question is more on that cohabitation. A very good question is, so bila kita boleh travel, Doc, to Europe and to other local destination? What's the view from Prof on that?
Saya pun nasib sabar nunggu.
Pulang Kuching
Kuching. In March actually, before the MCO, I dah plan pergi Prague lah, paksa cancel. Habis semua tiket balloon pun bagi diskaun balik, macam lah, at a loss lah. Jadi kita pun tahu pandemic tu actually is more of like social acceptance of the particular country. Bila actually kita pun dah okay lah, give up lah, pandemic fatigue, they call it, give up lah, we have to live with this, and then open up borders and so on. Very soon lah, it will happen soon lah. Jadi kita pun nak kata exact bila si tahu, but in Europe actually is dah open up lah. For that, you travel around Europe, dah okay dah. And even the current main ball ni pun Euro 2020 pun dah macam set dah restriction lah. Of course lah, they have their own mechanism lah. Still you need to wear mask, tempat yang high risk lah. Tapi for us, basically Malaysia lah membenarkan kita keluar for tourism. Tapi if you have like anak sekolah di UK ke ataupun hantar anak sekolah, dia benarkan, dah buka sebenarnya. Cuma for tourism tu belum buka lagi.
Okay. We look
soon
forward.
Lah.
Look forward. So
balik Kuching dulu.
Balik Kuching dulu ya. Sidak di Kuching dah boleh dine in dah. Ya kopi. Anyway, the next question, Prof, very scientific from Norol Nadia. Hi Prof, may I know whether kepekatan angiotensin converting enzyme 2, ACE2, is still considered penyumbang kepada seorang individu dijangkiti COVID-19. Biasanya because lelaki, lelaki lebih cenderung dijangkiti COVID-19 di Malaysia. Very scientific. ACE2. Okay.
Yang ni sebenarnya ACE2 ni tak ada kaitan dengan lelaki lah. Kenapa lelaki yang lebih mungkin disebabkan oleh faktor jangkitan. Yalah, kita mungkin lelaki yang lebih kayu-kayu dapat jangkitan lah. Mungkin lah, kita pun tahu kenapa. Mau nangga data dulu. Lagipun banyak daripada kilang-kilang majoriti lelaki lah. Jadi yang pun bagi lah, kita pun tahu mau nangga data dulu. Tapi itu ACE2 tu actually is ubat untuk darah tinggi. Dulu masa mula Wuhan dulu didapati siapa yang ada darah tinggi ambil ubat tu, dia akan dapat COVID yang teruk. That's why ada isu sama ada orang yang darah tinggi kata stop ambil ubat is converting angiotensin converting enzyme tu. Jadi eventually kena itu dah, we don't look at it that way lah. Continue makan ubat. Nanti kan mati sebab stroke lagi. Jadi satu hal lah. Bukan mati sebab COVID, mati sebab stroke. Jadi that is adalah caranya untuk prevent this from happening.
You can actually raise your hand also. Moses and also Azam can allow you direct to Prof. If you wish to talk direct with Prof also, you can raise your hand. And then I think Moses and Azam, if you can allow. Okay, any more question, Abang Iskandar?
Yeah, there's a question about the virus and the vaccine just now. I think we mentioned already. Yeah, is the new variant against existing vaccine? How existing vaccine works against new variant? I think dah dijawab oleh Prof tadi kan. Dah kan? Okay, this one is the virus originated from Wuhan. What is the connection with the variant from India and South Africa?
Okay, yang Wuhan ni is the original virus. That's where it starts. And masa berlaku di Wuhan ni ada berlaku spread in Wuhan itself, which was actually undetected. Yang berlaku di market dia sebenarnya yang pertama kali dikesan. Tapi bila yang analyze the genes, actually berlaku before that di kalangan community. That's why the theory about coming originating from the market susah sikit nak di hold lah. And from there, you know lah, Wuhan is a big city connecting all over the world, including direct to US, the Europe. It's a very big city. and daripada siarnya akan spread lah. Ada local spread in many countries, and I'm not surprised pun punya dah ada spreadnya di Malaysia tu pada masa yang lah. So kaitannya dengan variant ni is that originally is from that original virus, and bila dah countries tu lockdown, jadi this variant evolved independently from the original virus. And that's why you have from the India, the South Africa. Yang India, South Africa ni actually is first reported in India and South Africa. Bukan maksudnya saya dari negara lain, is reported there. And that's why also WHO mau guna nama India variant ke South Africa variant. Yang makin nama lain alpha, beta.
Yeah. But Prof, yeah, because I think it start from Wuhan and China, but China seems to can contain the virus very well in terms of the punya Prof. That is another surprise also how they do that and then compare others country Prof.
Oh ya, kita dengar video ya, really lockdown lah, really lockdown, and then siapa si make masnya dipukul, jadi a bit extreme, tapi it works lah in China. Even in China sebab sana kan very regimented kan, really control the citizens. You have CCTV all over the place. Very difficult to commit any crime. Even CCTV tu actually boleh identify you as well as can know where you are going. Dia ada software yang boleh detect where you go for the past 1 week. Itu ada dokumentari reporter from UK datang ke Asia, dia nak test the system lah, in conjunction with China government lah. Sekali orang China meriknya report sini hanya pergi for the past 1 week kan. Sini based on the CCTV surveillance they can do that. So I think there's a big control in terms of the government in getting them to comply with all the SOPs. They're very very strict. Kita tahu strict gila jadi susah lah.
Okay.
Bukan strict. Banyak si dengar kata.
Tinggal. Kita pun juga lah buat citizen juga. Tapi kalau kita nak marah rakyat, kita susah juga nak. Kita nak blame rakyat, kita kena.
Yeah. Okay. So the final question is, what is your view on Taiwan and Singapore recent spike in cases?
Okay. As I said, benda tu masih ada dalam komuniti. Cuma si nampak nak kita ingat siapa kes, kosong kes, tapi sebenarnya ada di komuniti tu. Mungkin dia asymptomatic, nunggu nak spread from one person to another person and present with infection, mungkin symptom. Sama juga di Taiwan actually. Taiwan tu dia saya kisah masa bermula macam kita juga lah, early success. Early success tu kita dah happy, 0 case. Dekat in case of Taiwan nya pun saya kisah juga nya macam cara mula surveillance testing, mau ambil vaccination. Kena tu barunya ramp up the vaccines. Jadi it's case of celebrating early success lah. Singapore tu of course masih lagi lah ada community ya. Jadi yang terbaru tu yang pergi karaoke lah. Okay. Dapat virus lah. Ini nak explain dengan bini kelas saya tahu lah.
Okay,
Cik Salim, that's all from
last question. Okay, I have last question before we end, Prof. Okay, this is about I think quite nama teh ni juga lah, because I have a lot of people saying that on the maybe Prof get to your opinion on the ivermectin, Prof. What is your opinion and what is your sense on this ivermectin? Because a lot of ni lah orang, I don't know which one to hear. Sekarang tu dah banyak daripada I read the scientific pun dia withdraw dan sebagainya, Prof. And then I think there's also ethical government, KKM is allowing to use the ivermectin for the stage 5, and also if the family is asking nyampun family member to actually to doctor to prescribe the ivermectin to those yang critical, Prof. What is your Prof? Your take on this one, Prof?
Yeah,
Last question, Prof.
Very difficult question. Itu the toughest question. Okay, ivermectin tu kita orang pun tahu ivermectin is the anti-parasite and ada antiviral ke, it's not true lah. There's no antiviral activities. Tapi mungkin dia yang boleh alter the how our immune system work. Kita pun saya tahu gini, the actual mechanism saya tahu gini. Tapi it works on parasite. It works on parasite. It create paralysis to the parasites and all that. Jadi kita pun saya tahu the actual mechanism. Right now, the issue is to me, as a scientist, munnya approve as yang tadi kita ada prophylaxis as another antiviral agent, I will be very very happy. In fact, mun ada keluar diumumkan oleh saintis satu dunia ada, it's very effective drug, cheap, safe and effective. This is actually good news to all of us. Tapi unfortunately, the data yang diportray oleh all this scientific group ni ada banyak flaws. That's the main issue dah, banyak flaws. And kalau you perasan ada yang dah publish and tarik dalit, and kita pun confusing lah meta analysis. Mungkin kita orang faham apa meta analysis of many papers. Ada yang ada okey, ada yang ada okey. Tapi bila kita nanggap paper yang dimasukkan adalah paper-paper yang meragukan. Jadi again susah nak percaya data-data tu. Ada satu sikit lagi yang dibuat di Egypt yang terbaru jadi skandal lah itu. Is publication tapi yang belum publish lagi, belum dilihat oleh science reviewers. Tapi dah publish preprint lah, namanya preprint untuk dilihat oleh semua orang lah, bagi komen apa semua. It's a very very big study, berapa ribu saya pun ingat lah. Tapi masalahnya ada flaws, very very glaring flaws ya. Jadi bila diinvestigate lagi oleh saintis-saintis lain, ada macam hanky-panky, ada loophole sia-sia nak. Jadi in the end paper ya pun dibuang. Tapi it was quoted by many other scientists. This is a good journal. Jadi kita pun dah confused. Saya pun dah confused sebenarnya. Jadi yang tadi kata KKM allow untuk kalau kita request, actually it's not true.
Okay.
I pun dengan my KKM colleagues, no, it's only for clinical trials.
Okay.
For clinical trial. Jadi kita pun all these WhatsApp messages yang kita terima, kadang I tanya balik lah, betul situ. Kita masih boleh nak terima gear-gear nak. Issue ivermectin ya. It's not that we don't endorse, tapi mau guna untuk manusia tu mesti ada bukti yang kukuh lah. Bukti yang kukuh. Saya pun kalau approve tu dengan bukti kukuh memang very happy. At least we have one drug yang berkesan untuk digunakan. Itu dah bukti belum ada lagi. All based on lack of proof. Very weak proof lah. Jadi susah.
But Prof, some of them yang dah makan, Prof, so they recover, Prof. So
Yalah.
How do you
that's why tadi isu mun kita belajar balik clinical trial, isu biases tu macam, is it because of the drug or is it because of the natural process of the disease?
Okay.
That's why kena clinical trial the best is randomized clinical trial. Maksudnya tadi kita ada dua kumpulan A dan B. Sikit kita beri ivermectin dan sikit lagi kita beri benda lain lah, yang placebo lah, mungkin yang ubat yang kosong aja. Tapi all these people, doktor dengan pesakit si tahu apa dia ambilnya. Jadi macam di packagingnya rupanya sama, semua si tahu, doktor si tahu, pesakit pun si tahu, actually this is ivermectin ke bukan. Jadi makan. Jadi dia mau ditangga clinical cost yang gini, siapa yang okey, siapa yang si okey, over the years. Bukan over the years lah, mungkin sekarang banyak dah case nak, jadi mungkin over few months and look at the data. Bawa kita buka, bawa kita uncode Untuk golongan infirmati, untuk golongan bukan infirmati. Tangga data. Ya baru the best mode of treatment. Kalau setakat observatory ni, observation tu, nang si diguna pakai lah. Kita makan yang baik mungkin kebetulan, mungkin nyasip makan pun akan baik. Jadi that's the issue lah.
Yeah.
We don't have a properly conducted clinical trial. Yang jadi masalah besar.
Okay.
Tapi KKM actually dah tengah ongoing dah, dia pun researchnya clinical trial. Jadi kita hope ada berita bagus lah.
Cik Salihin, ada one question from our frontliner, Dr. Crystal, who is also our member. So we let her ask her question directly. Crystal.
Okay.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Prof. Yeah, hi Prof. Zamberi. My name is Crystal. I'm actually a junior doctor. I just started working as a houseman for the last 3 months in Hospital Serdang. I graduated from UM Universiti Malaya, and then actually I'm very intrigued about your research in infectious disease . So when you say you did research on the Nipah virus, I remember listening to a lecture by one of my professor back in UM, Prof. Patrick Tan. He was talking about Nipah virus . I'm not sure if you know him . And then I'm interested about, there's this one slide that you showed about the history of pandemics over the years. So when we look at the history of the pandemic, when we trace back the source of the pandemic, we can see that most of the pandemic over the years, we can trace back to animals. Most of them are zoonotic diseases . And all of this happens when we start farming animals. So we start farming them in very confined and very confined spaces . So like, for example, you can see MERS comes from camels, SARS comes from civet cats or luwak. And then Nipah virus, it came from pig farms in Pahang. And then the 1918 Spanish flu, it came from chicken farms back in Kansas. And then right now, COVID, it comes from wet market in Wuhan, China. So I'm just interested about your opinion or your thoughts about this correlation between animal farming and also the pandemic, and should we do anything about it? Because if we are to stop the pandemic, shouldn't we stop it from the source to stop future pandemics ? So that's all. Thanks.
Okay, Dr. Crystal, very good question. Yes, it's true. Where majority of the new emerging diseases comes from animal, and that is really a concern by the WHO. The WHO pun take very proactive step to actually try to prevent pandemic. That's why the flu, influenza, talking about influenza, trying to tackle influenza, tapi they miss the coronavirus . That is a very serious agenda. If you are familiar with One Health, One Health is a group that the doctors, the vets, and also the environmental scientists, they work together to prevent. The aim is to prevent pandemic, and this network is all over the world. In fact, for us, UPM also, we are very much involved in One Health . So the goal is try to prevent pandemics as a global threat to human because of this exposure from us from animal. Tapi looking at the basic of it, farming animals, they get it from another animal. They get it from another animal. That is the main concern. These animals are basically the wildlife. Bats. Bats are getting right now is bats is vast majority of bats. Of course, there are other animals yang the source of it. So these bats, when you somehow they transmit disease to these farm animals, macam in case of Nipah virus tadi, keluang, flying fox, spread this virus to pigs, and pigs spread it to human. That's how the virus trying to adapt to the host. Bila they are trying to adapt to the new host, they akan creates very nasty symptoms lah, nasty disease. That's why the original Wuhan tu, a lot of people died. Now dah tame down lah. Bila dia dah adapt to that new host, dia akan become very what we call that, mild. Macam tu lah dia punya the normal process dia macam tu. Even yang H1N1 dulu pun from animal, from the farms animals in they say in China, and then even in Mexico, and then spread all over the world. Itu pun from animal, and eventually now H1N1 becomes part of our influenza, become very mild, and same thing happen. Yang tadi yang flying fox on Nipah virus tadi pun dia spread to horses lah in Australia, and spread from horses is spread to human. But in the case of Ebola, it's a direct spread from bats. Bukan direct spread, is a spread from bats to the game meat yang dia pergi hunting lah, gorilla meat lah, macam-macam. Di Afrika dia makan daging yang game meat. Jadi that's how they get the virus. Ebola from bats to these animals, and the people in Africa will eat that meat. Jadi you see the threats from animals lah yang menyebabkan all this happen. Unfortunately, this virus is really very resilient virus. It spreads really widely, and then create the pandemic. Normally, kadang-kadang we have this golden opportunity to actually contain from the start. Like Nipah, we contain it from the start. In fact, the pigs tu kita kill all the pigs, cull all the pigs, and then there's no more Nipah now in the country. Tapi in Malaysia ni, humans dapat lah. We cannot cull our humans. That will be the good strategy. Siapa yang dapat bunuh, siapa dapat, macam di North Korea lah. That is so the lesson learned here is that we have to try to prevent the spread from animal to human, what we call a zoonotic disease lah. Kalau you read kan, zoonosis, that's what it means. It's really a constant threat. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Kristen. I think it's already about 12 noon. It's a very insightful, very good conversation that we have. Maybe last word from you, Prof, to our participant today.
Okay, so this is a good opportunity lah for me to impart my pendapat lah, opinion about what is going on this, and hopefully lah we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel seperti itu lah, with the vaccines, and hopefully ada medication, good medication for our patients. So for the meantime, kita is on the transition period of pemulihan. The way I see it, how the virus mutate, so as our government pun action plan and vaccination. So hopefully by then kita pun dah ada antibodies, cases will drop, then possible kita akan live close to normal lah. Mungkin awal-awal masih perlu pakai mask lagi lah. Hopefully that yang penting kita boleh travel lah, balik Kuching, saya ada si payah nak quarantine. That's most important lah to me. If we can allow freedom of travel as well as but kena pakai SOP yang masih dijalankan for the time being. So thank you very much to Jaringan Diaspora Sarawak lah for inviting me to share my knowledge, and it's a good opportunity to meet you all. Thank you again.
Yeah, as a president of Diaspora Sarawak, it's an honor to having a conversation with you, Prof. And also thank you also to all our participants today, our AJKs who are making this event possible, and we hope to have more conversation, intellectual conversation, facts, MPath, and also knowledge session sharing with very, very prominent Sarawakian Dakios, Prof. So I pass back to Abang Iskandar to end our BERSUSEY this morning, afternoon already. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Cik Salihin. think on behalf of everyone, share our heartfelt appreciation to our guest, Dr. Zamberi, to Dr. Salihin for moderating, also for the committee members, and lastly but not least, we also need to thank KPDN EHP, for sponsoring the vouchers. For those who have received it, don't forget you only have until end of July to spend your money. And also let me share this care line for Sarawakian. There is the care line number for Rumah Sarawak, for Sarawak volunteers. So anybody having difficulties, need assistance, please don't feel free to contact them. And before I end, if you see there is just now, this picture is from Hafsah. Jangan kesana kesini, that's her message. And Hafsah is our committee member. Nanti kena lockdown sekali lagi. Okay, I end with that one.
Very nice.
Very nice painting with the mask kat situ. Okay.